Yeah, Spooligans, welcome back to another BeachCast. Slightly different one today. Today, probably my favourite form of fishing, on the floats. So we're at Cardiff Bay Barrage, just to the left of the marina outlet that opens out towards the Bristol Channel. On the rocks, just to the side of the wall, down at the bottom. As you can see, the water's way out. It's probably as far as the English side looks like. I've come ridiculously early to make sure we get the mark, mainly because we got quite a fresh westerly, which is blowing right over the top of us. So I've come to make sure we got the mark. I'm going to spend the next couple of hours getting myself set up. So ultra-light tactics, light rods, small reels, small hooks. I did call into Halton Road Angling this morning, see Ray and Dan, and I've got some cracking ragworm, which will be my primary bait, although I have got a few others with me. On the plus side, there's a cafe just at the top of the rocks, so the coffee is flowing. So until our guest turns up, I'm going to start getting myself ready, and we'll get to know him once he arrives. Cheers. Okay, welcome back to episode 4 of the Spooligan BeachCast. Today, like I said in my intro, at Cardiff Bay Barrage, today's guest has got fishing experience by the bucket load. So let's meet him. A close friend now of mine, Mr. Alan Brown. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, all right, mate. Fine. Yeah, great.
Apologies for the little climb down, and I know.
Yeah, I know. When you're my age, it's a bit of a hike coming down there. No.
No, I don't remember it being this sort of craggy. And I mean, and I've got an ankle injury myself, so I've got to be conscious of where I step. So I've always got rigger boots with studs and things like that. But we're down. We found a nice flat rock. Tide's flooding in very, very quickly, so it won't be long and we'll be fishing. So while we're waiting for that water, we'll rattle through some questions and get to know Alan a bit.
Picturesque Cardiff Bay.
Yes, exactly. So obviously I've known you for a few months now,
yeah.
And I've drunk all your coffee and eaten all your cakes when I come around to visit you and things like that.
Played with my puppy dog.
Yeah. Exactly, which I am threatening to steal because I love his dog. But give us a little bit of the Alan Brown backstory, where you're from, your career, and right, sort of family and that sort of stuff.
Initially born in Morganstone, by Radda, Cardiff boy. Spent most of my life in Morganstone. Moved out to the Trowbridge Estate when I was 12 and moved back to Morganstone when I was 16. Went to work for my grandfather for a couple of years. Then I became a greenkeeper on Radda Golf Club and Craiger Golf Club. And then from there I joined the MOD Police, where I served for 30 years. I was stationed at the Royal Mint and Land Prison as a base station.
Yeah. And
from there, then we used to travel all over the country wherever the MOD needed us to go for whatever reason.
Okay. And I know you sort of worked in canine as well, didn't you? Sort of that division.
Yeah. I was a dog handler for 5 years. I'd done CID for a few years. Then I sort of went into the firearms side of the job towards the end of the last 10 years of my career.
Still based out of Llantrisant?
Sorry?
Still based out of Llantrisant?
Everything was based out of Llantrisant, yeah. But there's no MOD police there at all now. It's all gone, Oh. And Maggie Thatcher, bless her, she closed nearly all the stations in Wales that was anything to do with the MOD.
All right.
There was a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? There was a bit of a thing against Welsh stations and English stations. It would be that the English station would get the business and they closed the Welsh one.
Oh, fair enough.
But that's politics.
Yeah,
people don't want to go into that too
much.
much.
No, there's enough of that on TV. Isn't
Yeah, absolutely.
Enough liars and things. So your fishing story then, where does that begin?
Well, that begins at roughly really when I was 7, 8 years of age. My old man worked at Lamworth Steelworks, and a couple of his mates used to fish Cardiff foreshore. Yeah. And one day we went down there just to see what they were doing, and the following week he bought a rod, completely the wrong rod, and really bought all boat stuff, But from the first time of going there, it just clicked with me. I just absolutely loved it, you know.
So for anyone who's watching, the foreshore is just over to our left. It's a rocky outcrop, and it's one of those marks you turn up at low water and you think, never going to be able to fish here, and then all of a sudden that water just flies in, as it's done today. And I did a little motion time lapse, which I'll drop into the video, and you can see just how quick it flows. It is a reasonably big tide today, which obviously is going to move faster. But yeah, so over there then really is where it all started.
Yeah, all started on the foreshore. Yeah, I mean in those days you could actually go onto the docks and go to the foreshore, but you know, British ports have closed it all down now. You can't even get there. They open it up for competitions occasionally, but it's the sad part about it that, you know, they've closed all the ports down for the fishermen.
No, Barry's the same. AVP control a lot of the area there, and like when I'm working on the ships in work, some of the fish I can see, the bass and the mullet are humongous, and they stop people going on there, and I'm like, it's pretty sad. I know you've got shitloads of fishing experience. We won't go into your age.
No, I don't mind. I'm 71 this year.
71. There you are, folks. I was going to save his blushes, but 71. So I know we've talked about, but you were quite a competitive angler in your time, you know, sea masters and things like that.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it came about that, first of all, you know, once you were able to drive and be able to go to various fishing marks, bearing in mind, you know, when I was growing up, there was no computers, no YouTube, no nothing. So you either had to learn off somebody else, or you read books. And I read book after book after book on fishing, sea fishing, you know, and coarse fishing. But it was sea fishing was always the main thing for me. And where I was a reasonably good angler, when I was in my early 20s, there was a guy called Clive Vedmore, or many people will know in South Wales, because Clive worked for Gary Evans's in the latter part of his life. Clive was running a night school for sea fishing.
Okay.
And my missus said, well, my first missus at the time said, why don't you go? So anyway, I did. And what Clive done, I mean, I'm so grateful to Clive, really. He honed the skills that I had, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of his ethics as regards fishing and everything were true about good bait, good tactics, you know, tying your own rigs, because we couldn't buy rigs in them days. You had to tie your own, you know. Tuning your reels, the types of rods to use, the marks to go to, and he taught me an awful lot, you know. Then I was a sponge, I soaked it up, you know, and that's what you got to do. You know, if it's what you like, you soak it up and you enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And through him, really, he said, why don't you start entering the competitions? And I did. I joined Penarchy Anglers because my uncle was there at the time. I started fishing with Penarchy Anglers and I started fishing the opens. And I've done very, very well at it. I topped the Sea Masters 3 years running. Never actually won the final day, but I always finished top of the league table.
What sort of time period is this? When?
Ooh, you're talking of late 70s?
Okay.
Somewhere around there?
I'd have been about 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, I joined the force in 75 and I was 22. So it would have been, late 70s. But I mean, on a good year, competition fishing in the opens, I was taking home £1,000 in a year.
What?
Yeah, I think I won the Penarth Open 1 year, and I think I had 400 quid for that, with prizes and pool money.
See, I've never fished a comp.
Yeah,
ever
well.
in my life. I keep bringing it up in every beach cast. I will one day try it, but it has to be just a fun one, not like a serious one like that. I just get in the bloody way. I mean, I'm so clumsy.
But the trouble is with it is it's very, very time consuming. If you're going to do it well, right, it is extremely time consuming. Your preparation and your planning has to be top notch, you know, getting your bait, tying your rigs, servicing your gear before you go, you know, everything the night before was all about doing that. 2 days before, maybe even going bait digging. You know, you and try and fit that in with family life, shift work. Yeah, and you know what it's like, don't you?
I'm time poor as it is.
Oh,
so yeah,
exactly.
Maybe not for me just yet then. So,
but I've done that for about 6, maybe 7 years, and in the end, then I lost the passion for it because it was too time consuming. You know?
What? Because it was just so intense.
Yeah, it's not the intenseness of the fishing. The fishing is fishing. You know, it is intense because you want to win, but you want to catch fish anyway. You want to go in just for fun. You know.
Just the stuff, like, not necessarily on the beach, the stuff you were doing off.
But you were talking, the competition was 4 hours long. We'd be looking to get to whatever part of the beach we wanted to go to 2 hours before, so you could get your best mark. So you're now looking at 6 hours.
Pegged?
No, it was never pegged. No. I went to the Isle of Man and fished the World Sea Angling Championships over there 1 year. and everything there was zoned and pegged.
Yeah.
So it left nothing to your skill as a water reader
With you.
or a beach reader
Yeah,
to
like
see where you
your
would go. You had to go where the peg was, you know.
Okay.
That part of it I didn't like. But then in South Wales they didn't do that. We always, it would be the venue is Penarth Beach. Get to Penarth Beach and go where you want to go.
They give you sort of limits from there to
Yeah,
there.
yeah. There was always limits. Pulcore was the same. Pulcore was probably the biggest distance-wise.
Yeah.
I think it went from, if I remember rightly, it went from Ogmore Rivermouth to the end of Scare.
Yeah.
And you were talking in this heyday, there was 1,000 anglers fishing that. You know?
Where did they all go?
Yeah, well, you know, Scare would be packed.
Bloody hell.
You know, absolutely packed.
I bet the weigh-ins were chaotic.
Oh, well, that's it. You do you're 2 hours before the comp, 4-hour comp, 2 hours in at the weigh-in.
Maybe a cheeky beer.
Yeah, well, of course, you had to have a beer, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to have a bit of social.
Then you got to drive home from it, from wherever it is.
Oh,
and you're talking, it's a long day, you know, and believe me, when you get home, you are absolutely shattered.
Maybe that's not for me then. Now, this next statement, I say with the utmost respect. I mean, you're unashamedly old school in terms of
absolutely.
your kit and the wedding. But having chatted to you over the last few months, I know why. I mean, you fished in an era where, like we were saying earlier, the availability of tackle and bits and bobs wasn't there.
No, it wasn't.
So if you thought of something or you needed something, you made it or you adapted something. So, I mean, prime example, Alan's tripod is the old school 2 bits of wood with the third one as the brace. And that's what you fish with because it's light, it works.
Yeah.
And like coming down the rocks today, you use it as a bit of a sort of a stick that you know, kept your foot in. I mean, I got nothing but respect for that kind of approach. You know, certainly as a designer of products, fishing products, for somebody who sees an issue or sees a problem and thinks, do you know what, I'm going to make something for that. And like, it was your experience that led to the spool tidies.
That's
you know? And like your little knickknacks and your little get-arounds and your little gadgets that you make. And I know you got other stuff in the pipeline which, you know, you're working on privately. It just comes from that sort of era and that experience, which I've got the utmost respect for. You know, the amount of fishing you've done and the things that you've made and adapted and why you use them is awesome. You know what I mean? That's probably what I like most about you most is that attitude. You know.
Well, it's the pleasure you get out of making something and then using it and catching fish with it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only sea fishing, though. I used to do a lot of fly fishing as well, you know?
I know, but your boys are good.
Yeah, my boy's really, my middle boy, Lee, I mean, he's really into fly fishing big time, not so much the sea fishing.
He does his own tie-in and...
tie-in all the time, you know? He'll come away down to Teignmouth with me in the van, and he brings his fly gear, you know? As well as the sea fish, and he'd be sitting there then tying his flies, and tying flies to sea fishing to fish for bass.
The pinnacle of it. You know, I like to make my own rigs, and I want to do this kind of full circle thing and find my own bait, dig it, bring it home with the rigs I made, and then catch a fish. It's that full circle thing, and it's a bit like you were just saying there. Then this kind of this physical. You make something physical that helps you catch the fish, and it's such a sense of satisfaction to do that. You know. So, given your experience, I'm guessing you can call better times on the Bristol Channel.
Oh, absolutely.
Or this stretch of coastline. Certainly when it comes to cod fishing. And I know we just talked briefly about, you know, when you started over there at the sort of foreshore. What was it like then? You know, the sort of what species would you expect to catch on a session?
Pretty much what most people are still going for now. Only there seemed to be more of it about the whiting fishing for the start. The whiting would kick in at its best first, second week of November.
Yeah.
And you would go to the foreshore, you'd be catching pound and a quarter, pound and a half.
What?
Oh, yeah. I'm talking decent whiting, right? Not these little skinny things that you see here now.
Oh, crazy.
Right?
I don't remember the last whiting I caught round here. I know when we were at Fontegary, Ray Christopher had a whiting, and I was like quite shocked. I'm like, crack, I haven't seen them, especially at Fontegary. You know, as kids, that was the staple of our fishing. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm thinking like back, you know, like your 70s, that when you were at the sort of height of your fishing. Certainly in this area, you know, cod, where have they gone?
I don't know.
Do you know what could have changed it?
Well, I know that the barrage here has certainly changed the channel over the last, what's it been here, 20 years, 25 years, something like that?
Something like that. I don't actually remember.
You know, there was so much fresh water pouring into this end of the channel.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't catch ray up this end. You wouldn't catch dogfish up this end. because the water was just, there was too much fresh water.
I mean, you're coming out with a tap.
Yeah, going into the channel, you know. And if you look at the species of fish you're trying to catch, whether it's cod, rays, conger, whatever, they like certain types of water, right?
Okay.
Now, ray don't like brackish water. You don't catch rays in estuaries very often, unless, you know, there's a lot of salt water going into that estuary,
Okay.
right? Same with dogfish. Dogfish, you won't catch a dogfish in Mile Up River, normally, you know?
Right.
I'm not saying completely you won't, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't go and do that
As a rule,
fishing with
yeah.
dogfish. You go up there and fish for bass,
Because they'll go up there.
they'll go up there, you know?
It's one of those species that can adapt to that.
Yeah,
adjustable
and
water.
coddling a bit the same. I mean, I've fished Newcastle a few times, you know. I go up there and I would go. And the River Tyne there runs into the sea. It's huge, it's a massive river, it's big, you know.
Yeah.
And it's brackish water there. And they're catching coddling 3, sometimes 4 miles upriver.
I've seen videos on YouTube. There's a guy I follow, Northeast Angling. I know he buys some of the Spooligan products, and I watch some of his videos. And he's done like an urban sort of setting where
Yeah.
you're literally in the middle of buildings, with like the river in front of you, catching sea fish. And I was like, that's awesome. I'd love to be able to do that.
But
So-
the other thing that frightens me with sea fishing really is that when you look at the super trawlers now, you know, I was watching a program the other day.
Factory ships, yeah.
And it was the one trawler, I don't know what it cost to build it. It was something like 10 or 15 million quid to build this ship. Everything computerized. Right, they pick up the fish on the computer, they drop the nets go down to the exact depth, and they scoop the lot, you know.
Yeah, it's devastating.
And in one trip, they picked up 1,500 tons of mackerel. One trip. Didn't bring it to Britain, didn't bring it into a British port. They took it to Norway, and a guy from Japan flew over to Norway and bought the lot off them. Now, if you cannot envisage, right, some people might not be able to envisage how much a ton of mackerel is, right? Well, if you look at the white ton bags that you buy at the
the bulk sacks, yeah, from like
when you go to the
sand and
DIY
aggregates.
and the builders merchants, right? That's a ton bag.
Yeah.
You imagine 1,500 of those side by side all the way up your road, and everyone's full of mackerel. That's trying to give you the impact.
And that's just one trip.
One trip. The impact is massive, you know, and the thing is, you know, I know everybody got to make a living, don't get me wrong.
No.
You know, I understand that. But
And
they put nothing back.
Were these British ships or?
Well, that particular one was, the really, really big ones that I've seen on YouTube were the German ones. They're massive.
So
They got forklift
do you know
trucks
much about
driving
the
around,
quota system?
storing the fish.
Do you know much about the quota system? Is it?
Well, no. The only
The
thing
bigger
I,
the
the,
ship,
the
the
only thing
more
that
you
I
quota?
know is that the quota system they brought in the UK completely doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because they'll say to a particular skipper on a particular boat, your quota is X number of ton of coddling, right? Once he catches that, he can't catch. He can't land and sell any more coddling.
Bycatch, or they're going to throw it back.
Exactly. So then they go out there and they fish for whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the whatever then, the bycatch, as you say, then is coddling, but they throw over the side dead. Now, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
What they should say is, we'll give you a tonnage quota of all fish. Then you're not throwing back dead fish because, you know, of the way they brought this silly quota system in. You know? But that's the bit that I think has probably changed the fishing a lot, is that I think at any one time there's over 300 trawlers in the English Channel alone every day, you know? And they're all after the same thing.
Yeah,
they're all after
all
the
of
fish.
them are British ships, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
Spanish
so
and French
the fishing has declined, you know, and I don't see it improving anytime soon.
It's, probably intensive fishing that's literally wiping everything out.
Mm.
You know, I mean, while we're talking about cod, 1966, do you remember Brandon Jones's shore caught cod?
No,
From
I don't.
Tom's Point in Barry?
I don't actually, because in 1966 I would have been, well, I was 10, 53, no, I was 13. I heard about it, but again, the reporting of things like that
I
then
tried
in
to
those
find
days.
pictures of it. I mean, I've always known about it since I was a kid.
Well, I've seen a picture of it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've seen a black and white
Was it
picture
in a
of it.
wheelbarrow?
Sorry?
Was it in a wheelbarrow?
No, if I remember rightly, it was him and somebody else, I think, actually holding this thing.
Well, it was £44.
44 pound, that's right, yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to get beat.
I thought somebody said
I know there was a
wrong, but
30
it
odd
had been beaten.
over on the other side a few weeks back, and there was a picture of him outside Real Fun Fishing in Portishead, 30 odd pound. I'm like, wow, that's a fish of a lifetime. You know, it's a tiddler in Norway, but £44.6. I I don't think that's ever going to get beat.
No, probably not, especially today, you know.
No.
You know, my best codling was 13.5 pound off a foreshore. Purely by accident, I was fishing for whiting with sprat as bait, you know. I wasn't targeting cod,
No.
but that's the beauty of our sport, isn't it? You know,
crikey, you never know what's
you
going
can
to be
go to target something and something else comes along and you think, oh,
Well, I'm holding great hopes when we start fishing, because I was there early, obviously you've seen by the intro,
yeah.
and I was sat watching this tide flood, and I seen a bass jump, first good sign, and then all of a sudden a float pops up right in front of me and starts swimming across, and I filmed it. It might not be a very good image because I had to zoom in with my phone, but you would not believe it. And I'm like, one of the questions I'll ask you later on is some of the things you might have seen when you're fishing, but I had to film it just so that people actually believe me that it just pops up out of the water and then swims across beyond
Well,
that
let's
wall.
hope we can catch it and take the hook out of his mouth and let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what size it is, but yeah, at first I thought there was somebody up there, and I'm like, you're not allowed to fish up there. So, I know you used to live abroad, Tenerife.
Yeah.
Did you ever fish over there?
No.
Why?
I suppose in a lot of ways I was too busy, you know. I had a business out there that I built myself from scratch. It turned into 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah. For anyone who knows, it was kennels and dog care.
Yeah, dog kennels, cattery,
and stuff like that.
importing dogs in for people, exporting dogs out for people. And really, I just didn't have the time and didn't really have the inclination out there. For some reason, I don't know why, it really didn't bite me out there.
The
you know?
Canaries has exploded as this new kind of fishing thing.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a YouTube channel called GSP Fishing. And I watched his videos years ago. And it was only recently I watched one on Fuerteventura on a beach called Caleta de Fuste. And I've been to that beach 6 times.
I've been there. Yeah.
6 times. And after 7 p.m. you're allowed to fish. He's catching 100-pound stingrays of a fish I've got nudie swimming in. Yeah. And I'm like, geez. Like, next time I'm going over there, I'm paying for my Spanish fishing license and I'm having a go. You know what I mean? Stingrays from the beach at £100.
Oh, you can't believe it, can you?
It's ridiculous. Right, well, the water's flooding in, as I'm sure you can see from there.
Yeah.
We're going to get ourselves set up, have a drink, because my mouth's getting dry from chin wagging. So we'll get a bit of fishing done, and we'll bring you back later on and have more chats with the main man, Alan. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We're carrying on with that fishing. I'm on the float, mainly ragworm and maybe bits of prawn out there. Tried different ranges, longer, shorter, nothing as yet. Alan's still trying for his elusive mullet. So whether we're there too early, whether it's the wrong tide, not sure, but at least without the wind and it's not raining. So we'll carry on. Let's get to know Alan a bit further and see how we go. Now this next part is sort of health and the things you learn as we mature in life and sort of get older. And I don't think you'll mind me saying, Alan, that you've had your battles with health, and namely cancer, and thankfully it's a battle you won. But how was that, the whole journey of diagnosis, treatment, and things like that? How does that?
Bloody scary.
Yeah, no, as I said, in terms of what it affects you, your family, and everybody around you.
Yeah, in October of 21. After a 9-month battle of trying to see a GP, there was COVID on and all that goes with that. I eventually got referred to Princess of Wales Hospital in Bridgend. Camera went down the throat because I'd been having trouble with swallowing silly things like peas and things like that,
Okay.
No pain in my throat whatsoever, but getting pain in my jaw, the actual hinge of my jaw, and going up into my head.
All right.
And no matter what painkillers I took, it wouldn't go away. So anyway, cut a long story short, he put a camera down my throat, goes up your nose and down your throat, and the guy said to me, literally within 2 minutes, he said, you've got a tumour.
Just from the camera, not like a scan or anything?
No, just a camera.
Oh,
it's a little thin thing, and it goes up your nose.
Like endoscope type thing?
Yeah, up your nose and down your throat. And it's on the screen and you can watch it, you know. And you showed me where it was on the screen.
Mm.
So, of course, that issue for 6, but then I was sort of pretty much half prepared for the fact that it was going to be that, you know. But nothing actually fully prepares you until they tell you that you've got cancer, you know.
Yeah.
So we had to go in. I'll cut the story. It's a very long story, but I'll cut it as short as I can. Went in, had the biopsy, cancer in 4 different places in my throat, voice box and various other places. After the biopsy, they came into the room and I said to the guy, what's the score? He said, surgery's out of the question. He said, it'll be chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And I said, will I survive this? And he said, depends how much you can take. I'll never forget those words, and I didn't really know what he meant by that at the time, you know. And then fast forward, after I'd have a feeding tube put into my stomach. And then I started 6 weeks of radiotherapy on my throat. And the first 2 weeks you think, oh, this is a bit of a dawdle. What's the problem with this, you know? Having been told that I had a 7 out of 10 chance of surviving it.
Okay.
Right, which was great. You know, because I was expecting a 0 out of, you know, as you do. It is very, very scary when they first tell you.
Diagnosis, it probably frightens the life out of you.
Absolutely.
Alone
you know?
what the actual condition's doing to you.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've been a heavy smoker throughout my life, you know.
Right, I was going to say, you know.
And you think, well, I am the instigator of my own downfall. Until I spoke to the head man in Velindre, and he said it's got nothing to do with smoking at all.
All right.
Yeah. He said, we've all got this, what caused my cancer, we've all got this particular virus in our throats. Okay. And occasionally, for whatever reason, in some people it kicks off, and in other people it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so he said, you're smoking, and absolutely nothing to do with it. I'd given up by then anyway, but, you know, that's by the by. And started the radiotherapy, and 3rd week in, my throat closed up. And I mean completely closed up. To the point where for the following 7 months I never ate a thing or drunk anything at all. I even lost the ability to swallow. You know, and you can't believe what it's like to go that length of time without actually taking even a sip of water wouldn't go down, where the swelling in your throat completely...
From the treatment?
Yeah, from the treatment, from the radiotherapy, completely closes up.
Bloody hell.
You know, I didn't suffer too much.
There's your ratty friend.
There he is, yeah. Didn't suffer too much from the chemo, you know. I sort of was pretty okay with the chemo. Bit of sickness, but and they told me I would lose a little bit of hair at the back of my head, a little patch, and I did, and it grew back, you know. But the last week of treatment, the 6th week, I did sit in the house thinking, feeling extremely ill. You can't believe how ill you feel with that.
It's quite aggressive treatment.
Oh, absolutely, you know.
Yeah.
Can I do this last week, you know, because... Yeah. It was that hard, you know.
See where what he said comes from then.
Yeah, you know.
Depends how much you can take.
I was so weak, you know. Without my missus, I mean, I would be dead. You know, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
You know, she was there for me. I lost over 10 stone in weight.
Bloody hell.
Over the period, yeah. I was like a stick insect, you know.
Shit.
And during my recovery from the treatment, she had an heart attack.
She did?
She did, yeah.
Oh.
She ended up then in Swansea Hospital having 3 stents put in. In the meantime, while she was in there, I go down with pneumonia and COVID.
Christ.
Recovered from that. I was in Princess of Wales Hospital for a few days where that came out. And then towards the end of what I would call the recovery, which was about 8 months in, I had just started to drink water. That first bit of water that went down your throat. Oh, you know. And I won't graphically go into the stuff that was coming out of your mouth during the recovery. You can't believe it, you know. Anyway, that eventually subsided, and I started then to swallow a little bit of water. And they did tell me that I would probably never eat again, you know. Yeah, I was told that, you know, that I might not eat again. And I thought, well, you know, I'm a pretty tough guy. I'm a pretty resilient guy, you know. And I struggled on with it to the point where I did start to eat food. And then during one of the treatment days, one of the review days, I was so lucky. Went in to see the 2 nurses. In the 10 of them. 10 of us are brilliant, by the way, the charity people. They provided some aftercare service for people with cancer in Bridgend. I don't know what other parts of South Wales. Brilliant, you know. And we went to one of their centres and see the two nurses that were with me all the way through my treatment and through my cancer diagnosis. And they sat down and they said to me, "How are you?" I said, "Great, I've just started eating." And with that, blood spurted out of my nose and my mouth. I hemorrhaged from my throat, where the radiotherapy had damaged one of the arteries in my throat, and it just burst out of me. Ended up, they rang for the ambulance, and I was told we can't get nobody to him for 5 hours. So, lucky my missus was there. We had to put me in the back of the car, holding a waste paper bin to catch the blood, pulling blood clots out of my mouth. And they got me down to hospital. I ended up being put into an induced coma. Went into intensive care then for 3 days. A 5-hour operation where they had to put a wire up through to get into my throat to seal off the area that had been damaged. And I was told before they put me in the induced coma that until they find out exactly what's wrong, that I could end up having a stroke as well, you know.
Damn, you haven't had it easy.
Yeah, you know, it was tough, you know. Right. You know, the missus had recovered from her heart surgery, you know.
Man, you've had it tough.
And gradually I got better and better and better and better to the point 2.5 years on now, here I am, you know. There's no cancer there. Yeah. And then, but the other thing, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. Oh. And at first, when that showed up in the blood test, they couldn't take me into the MRI scanner because of my coughing and the stuff that was coming out of my mouth. So they had to wait for that to subside before they could scan me to see what the problem was exactly and where it was and everything else. Fortunately, that hadn't spread to anyone else in my body, and they sent me back to Belinda, and I had another 20 radiotherapy sessions on that. And I said to my missus, I'm going to be glowing in the dark the way things are going with all this, you know. But well, listen, it was 2.5 years on, and I've got over it. I feel at my age of 71 as fit as I can be. I've got arthritis, but haven't we all, you know?
Yeah, Frank, I'm heading that way. Don't worry, all rugby injuries. So that leads me on to the point I'm going to ask you next is, does a life event like that change your perspective on things?
Massively.
Yeah, I can imagine you kind
of.
Well,
the first thing that happens when you get a cancer diagnosis, it takes away your future straight away, because you don't know if you got one.
Yeah.
Right? You can't plan 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months ahead, because you don't know if it's going to be a 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months ahead. You know, you don't know. And you've got to go through that. They say we're going to make you extremely ill to make you better, and that's the way it works. Listen, I'm lucky, I'm still alive, you know.
Yeah, but I think
when you go to Belinda every day for treatment, some of the sights you see in there, it's terrible, you know. But they do their best for you, you know. That's the thing. They do their best for you. They're brilliant, you know. But yeah, it changes your outlook on life completely.
Yeah.
I'm no great. I mean, I was never not grateful for any day before. You know, I've always lived life to the full. I've always enjoyed myself. Work was for pleasure. You know, and it's given me a second lease of life, really. You know.
Well, given that you're a gentleman of a certain age, I'm thinking like fine wine, you know, and that kind of wisdom and experience you've built up over that time, what would today's Alan advise the younger Alan on things that you've learned and how to live your life and things like that? You know, even including your sort of, your cancer journey and things like that.
Well, the cancer journey, it is what it is. If you're diagnosed with it, you've got to fight it, and you've got to put up with the treatments that you get, and hopefully that you come out the other side like I did.
Okay.
The other thing I say is just whatever age you are, follow your dreams. Do what you can do. If you're going to want to do something and you can afford to do it, don't wait. Go and do it. Yeah. Because it might not be a tomorrow, you know?
Yeah, well, I've quite often had that kind of outlook on life of, you know, it's like a fine balance between live for today, save for tomorrow, that kind of attitude. And I'm very much in the live for today camp. Probably why financially I'm a bit of a train wreck. But yeah, I think you just got to have a go because you're only here once. I mean, it's like they say, life's not a dress rehearsal. You've got to go at it.
Well, if you don't make the most of it, nobody can do it for you, are they?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. No, I'm fully on board with you with that one, for sure. And I've not, there's rats all around us, by the way, and I think they're snaffling the remnants of the mullet ground bait. I can see them scooting around the rocks beneath me.
Yeah.
It's a bit unnerving because they're quite big, some of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to sort of
Yeah,
fishing.
go on.
Is there anything you'd like to still achieve fishing-wise? Now, you're in your 70s or early 70s. I won't add it years on.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else you'd like to achieve?
Well,
or do?
I've still not caught a bream, but then I haven't fished for them either. But I will this year.
I have not caught one.
Right, so that's
or a gilthead or anything like that.
No.
I'm useless at that sort of anything outside of South Wales.
So that's the first thing, because I do love Devon, and I go to down to Devon at least twice a year. I've got a little boat down there. So a bream is on the target list. Outside of that, apart from salmon, which I've never fished for, I pretty much caught every species of fish I wanted to catch.
You were telling me about that bloody big monkfish.
Oh,
Where was that?
Swansea. We went out to Swansea on a boat. We had a little fishing club in the Royal Mint, and we went out there. And I hooked into a 53-pound monkfish, which at the time was just 3 pounds short of the British record.
That must have had a mouth like a dustbin.
Oh, it was huge, you know.
I mean, as an ex-fishmonger, I used to prep monkfish now and again, and they're nowhere near as big as that. And even the ones that had sort of 12, 14-inch tail sections, I could probably stick my head in its head.
Yeah.
It was huge, so 54 pound, that could have eaten you.
Yeah. Well, when I was holding it like that, it was as broad as me,
Yeah.
and its head was by my head, and its tail was touching the floor. You know, and I'm 5'10".
Bloody hell. Well, yeah, no, that's. I mean,
It was a big.
I haven't got anything anywhere near as nice as that to brag about of sort of fish that I've caught or tales of, you know, oh, it was this big. Unfortunately, not for me. Okay, let's go on to the rapid 10 section. Time's ticking, and if there's no more bites or any bites, even not any no more bites, if there's no bites, we may make a little move up onto the top.
Move to the big arm.
We'll see what the wind's doing. If the wind's died down, then we could go up there. So let's dive into the rapid 10.
Go on then.
I think I know the answer to this, but number one rig you've ever used.
Number one rig I've ever used.
I think I know the answer because you showed me it in your shed once.
Yeah, I just use what I call a short paternoster or dropper, whatever you want to call it.
If I can describe it, it's like an up and over, but it only goes up, doesn't it? It's a fixed paternoster.
Well, no, you can do it up and over, or just hook it up.
Because you used a little get around with a bent paper clip to act as a bait clip. But I tried to modify it so that it was up and over, but I think the paternoster's fixed about 4 inches above the lead.
That's right.
And you were saying outfished everything when back.
It's outfished everything in all the competitions for me everywhere I've been. It's just been my go-to rig, you know.
Yeah. No.
That combined with running ledger as well. Running ledger has been wonderful on the bass for me, you know.
Yeah.
Caught a lot of bass over the years, and the running ledger has nailed a lot of them, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Number two, bit political now. Who's the next Prime Minister? Yeah, that was the kind of reaction I was going to hoping for. That you'd be like, after seeing that debate that was on TV.
I'm going to be honest with you, right? As far as I'm concerned, they're all a waste of space.
Yeah.
And I probably won't even bother to vote, because why am I voting people into a job they can't do, and they make a mess of, and the country's in a mess, and they're never for the people anyway. Yeah. You know, all they're interested in is ripping us off as much as they can. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't even know if I'm going to vote. I know some people say it's a waste, but I mean, how do you pick a bad one out of a bad bunch, or a good one out of a bad bunch? Sorry. Right, number three. Standard question.
Yeah.
Fish finger sandwich.
Yeah.
What's your condiment?
My condiment is my own homemade curry ketchup.
Ooh. I'll have the recipe for that.
You will, I'll give you that.
Sounds a good one.
Yeah.
I know your old fishing buddies, or you had acquaintances with Clive Gammon, the author of...
No, I didn't have an acquaintance with Clive Gammon. As a young man,
oh, sorry,
he was a lot older than me. Yeah, Clive Edmore was, yeah.
Beg your pardon.
Clive Gammon was a Welsh journalist who was a good bit older than me. Yeah. He's dead.
He wrote the Wales Angling Guide.
Wales
Angling
Guide,
book you recommended to me.
which
1979
is,
that book was.
When I was sort of like doing all my fishing in my 20s and 30s, it was like the Welsh Bible, you know, for fishing.
Okay, so he wrote that book in 1979.
Yeah.
But if you wrote a book, what would you call it, and what would it be about? Now, you've got some real strong life experience of things you've been through, certainly in the recent years. And I don't think you could write that. You know? You get cancer, wife gets a heart condition, then you get prostate, then you get, you know, that journey, that sort of experience is, you know, that could be a film, let alone a book.
Yeah, absolutely, you know. You never know what you're going to face. All I would say is live for the day, you know.
So a book based around that then, sort of
Yeah.
that kind of...
It's just got to be live for the
That
day
mantra,
because
that
yeah,
kind of,
we can never predict the future, you know.
No, definitely. Okay, number 5. Other than Spooligan, of course, what's your favourite YouTube channel?
Ooh. Of all the channels, or do you mean fishing channels?
It could be anything.
Oh, well, I like the Backyard Chef because I like a bit of cooking.
Okay.
And he's great. I like Vern's Sea Angling.
You
like a bit of
I
Vern,
like a bit
don't
of
you?
Vern
Yeah.
when I'm on night shifts.
Yeah.
A good 2-hour video off Vern.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's heavy. So if you're watching Vern, I doubt whether he is because he's a busy man. But yeah, I do like a bit of Vern.
Yeah, I like a bit of
And it's
Vern.
not necessarily about the fishing with him. It's him as a person.
That's right, absolutely.
I mean, he's cracking. The one I watched the other day, he was first cast, smooth down, bang, loving life. So he's cracking. Okay, suitcase full of money for travel tickets.
Yeah.
Where are we going fishing?
Norway.
Norway?
Yeah, end of.
Okay.
The only place for me. It's the only place I want to go to. That obviously I've never been there, but
Yeah.
it's whether I'll get there
Boat or shore?
before I end up in the furnace, I don't know. But yeah, Norway.
Boat or shore?
Either or.
See, because
But
I was going
probably
to go
shore for me.
I was going to go for my 40th, but I'm shit on boats, like terrible. Like I'm green as hell. And I only just not long after realised the shore fishing's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that one. All right, world's best biscuit. And
Biscuit?
And now you a dunker?
Since the cancer, I can't eat them.
Oh, because of the texture or
It changed the taste buds.
Okay.
It took me a long time to get back to eating curry again and stuff like that. But with anything sweet, like a biscuit or a cake, I don't know why, as soon as it goes in my mouth, the taste changes straight away and it's not very pleasant.
Pre-cancer then, what biscuit would you have?
Oh, it would have been just chocolate biscuit.
Chocky?
Yeah.
See,
I also used to like a jammy Dodger.
I recently got back into biscuits. And I love Garibaldi.
Yeah, I used to like them too.
Cracking Garibaldi. Yeah. But it's not a dunker though.
You can.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I used to.
Yeah, something wrong with you. Right. Number 8.
People that say that.
Number 8.
Yeah.
As we age, us blokes seem to pick up this sort of label, grumpy old men. Possibly true.
Yeah.
As you've aged, what pisses Alan off?
Politicians. Absolutely.
That's very topical
and
at the moment.
Politicians.
With the sort of shit show that's been on TV lately and the debate, which, it was a waste of airtime if you ask me. Okay. Politics, that's probably a long-standing one. I think most people would answer that, certainly at the moment. Number 9.
Yeah.
One piece of tackle you've owned that you could never part with.
Ooh.
I think you're looking right at it. This.
Oh, my rod rest. That's probably my 3rd one that I've made now. Yeah. I actually made that for somebody else, and I never got to give it to him.
I had one when I was a lot younger. Made similar, not as nicely as fashioned as yours there, but yeah, I mean is that one piece of kit that you'd never get rid of? Or
well, it's the one piece of kit I continually use.
Yeah.
You know, I've got the tripods in the house, the metal ones, you know, that I picked up. But I just use that. I love it, you know, it's great. And I made it, you know, so hey-oh, you know.
Right, number 10 then, last one. So I've asked this to most guests. Funniest, strangest, or best thing you've seen while fishing?
Ooh.
Now I've added my one in, which was that float popping up out of nowhere and then swimming across, which the video I'll put in, I don't know what it'd be like, but...
Being in a boat off Swansea, a friend's boat, Gwilym. It was a 16-foot boat, fishing for mackerel. We were drifting from Porthcawl down to Swansea, coming back up and going back down again. We were having a great day catching mackerel. You were catching mackerel for bait for the freezer, you know. And all of a sudden it stopped. Not a mackerel anywhere. And then all of a sudden 12 porpoise came up, surrounded the boat completely, slapped the tails on the water, right? And one of them came within an arm's length, and I couldn't believe the size of it. The eye was like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it piss off our mackerel?
And they were this really sort of like funny grey colour, you know? But it was huge. It was as long as the boat.
Jesus.
You know, I said to Gwilym, "God, look at that." He said, "I've never seen that before."
When was this?
Oh, it's going back. Bloody hell. It's 20 odd years ago.
So
you know?
Pre-mobile phones with videos.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was none of that nonsense in those days.
Right.
And there is one other. Just a quick one. Fishing Porthkerry one day in a Seamaster competition.
Yeah.
Neil Berry, the DS I was working with at the time, he was a fisherman, loved coming fishing with me, and we went to fish the comp, obviously. the tide was dropping. We were underneath the cliffs there. You know the cliffs there?
Yeah. Bull's Nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts his box down. He's 10 yards from me. I'm there sort of starting to set my gear up. He gets up off his box to walk to me. A boulder, this is the God's honest truth, drops out of the cliff and completely squashed his box. Smashed it to bits.
Fuck, that could have been him.
It could have been him, yeah. If he hadn't got up to come over and talk to me, he'd have been a dead man.
Yeah, because...
And we just looked at each other. It was one of them jaw-dropping moments,
well, exactly.
you know?
We're talking about live life to the full and max. It could have been something as benign as that, He's fishing, and all of a sudden, I'm like massively wary of that about Fonty. I mean, I don't tend to go anywhere near him, and I was there the other night, fishing with Damien, filming for his channel for his first episode. There was a good group of young girls, kind of my daughter's age, and they were all right up under the rocks, and I was like, I can't go over and say to them, look, girls, come away from the rocks because there's regular fall. They'd have thought I was some sort of like pervy weirdo, so I was like, what do I do? I was like, in this quandary of like, please come away from the rock. And I thought, no, I had to leave it, and I couldn't look because it was like freaking me out. Because I've fished there one day, I've gone there the next week, and there's a pile of rocks the size of about 3 cars. And even the small ones, if they hit you, it's game over.
Gone.
But, no. All right, finish it off, flip it. Any questions for me?
Ooh. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
See, I don't look that far ahead. I've got goals of where I want to be. I want to be out of shift work. I mean, there's a definite one that I would like to achieve, is to be out of shift work. If I could do Spooligan full time, fab. In terms of designing products, making videos, fishing with people all around the country or even the world, because one of the end goals is to get to New Zealand to fish with a customer, Mark Bannister. I don't know. I don't think that far ahead. But yeah, as a short-term sort of direction I want to head in, get out of shift work.
Yeah.
Because this week's been fab. I've had 5 day shifts instead of days and nights. And I feel more human. I feel more with it.
Yeah.
And I was chatting to my father earlier and said about it, and he did shift work briefly. He said it wrecks you. Absolutely wrecks you. So yeah, if there's anything I want to do, is get off shift work.
Yeah, well, I was the same 30 years in the police. Look, I was all shift work,
It's
Apart from the CID stint, that wasn't shift work.
I'm sure I've read something that shift work is carcinogenic. So now that messing up your sort of circadian rhythm and your sleep patterns, it can't be good for us.
Oh, it's, some people can take to it and some people can't, I mean, I've seen a lot of coppers, used to struggle on night shift, couldn't keep their eyes open,
Well, I get that regularly.
And, we all have a bad night, but fortunately for me, I suppose, I'm a bit of a night owl, so I never struggle too much on nights, Yeah. But hey ho, getting off it, I don't blame you.
We're about to get flooded out, so my kit's down on
it's
a rock.
Come up all of a sudden,
it's pushed right in. So we'll wrap it up for now.
Okay.
I'm with Real Minds on the 21st. It got postponed because Dave, the founder of the charity, was away with his wife and apologised, so we rescheduled for that. So if anyone wants to be in the BeachCast and you want me to come to you and fish with you and have a chat, just drop us a message below in the comments, or you can email us on there and we'll come to you. So mate, let's see if we can get us one out. If not, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you, man. And I'll be around for coffee and cake soon.
Yeah.